So part 2 of the video for turning our Dollar Tree table into our waterfall dresser of some sort. We've gotten it to this part so far in the first video. So now we're just going to continue and get it completed. We left off when we cut the middle part out. So now we just have to make the top for the center section, and then we'll do the tops for these, and then we can put the back on it and then decide on drawers. So I measured the middle piece for the top of mine at 1 3/4 by 1 inch. So that will go on here. Yours is going to be different depending on whether you set yours back or whether you make yours flush. If you made your drawer, your side cabinet pieces wider or skinny like I did on this one, that middle piece is going to be a different size. So we'll just put some glue on here so we can attach it. Okay, so that's just going to be attached. It's going to be flush in the front, and it'll be kind of flush in the back. The back of it you're never going to see because we are going to put a back on it, and we'll talk about that back in just a minute. Now for the tops, I did not do the tops of mine. These, I did not do the tops with mat board. I used balsa wood for the tops of them. And on this one, I think instead of doing flush, just one piece of wood, I've cut it at 2 little pieces of wood. One of them a little smaller than the other, and just layered it on top, so it's kind of almost like a step up, if you can see the way that is. So when I put it on the top of here, it's going to just have a little bit of a decorative element to it. It'll just be raised up in the middle. I can sand that to bevel the edge if I want, which I probably will do, so it's not just such a severe edge to this top piece. So that's how I made those. The drawer fronts, I'm also doubling up the bottom one so I can bevel that edge, just because I want this one to be a little more detailed and a little more decorative than the first ones that I made. This one will most likely go in the abandoned old rugged home that I'm working on. So this one I'm probably going to give it some distressed paint. I may do some crackle paint on it once I get it all finished, just to give it some distressing. Okay, and I didn't do a measurement for you on the top of that. I probably should have, but this is 1 1/4 wide by 1 7/16 this way, and then the ones on the top, the smaller ones, I did 1 inch by 1 inch. So the little top piece is 1 inch by 1 inch on top of the ones that fit exactly on the very top. So that's what I've got on there. So that's what we have so far. Now to do the back, this back part, we're not going to use mat board. We're going to use something a little bit different. I used cereal box for this one. I used a sugar-free pudding box lid for this one. And for this one, we're going to use a Waterloo box lid that I saved just because the cardboard is good and it'll be okay for what we're going to use it for. So let's fold it in half. I'm going to use a metal ruler as like a bone folder, so I don't want to get up and go get my bone folder. just to give me a good sharp edge on there. Okay. And then we're going to glue the pretty sides together so that the outside on both is just the brown. Now, just to make that glue together a little bit better and give the glue something to bite to, I'm just going to rough the pretty edges up a little bit, take off some of the paint. If we take off some of this paint, it'll let that glue get into the paper. Take off some of that gloss from that glue, or from the paint, and the glue will stick better. Just glue it. Over, that get nice and glued down, and while that's putting more glue on the edge here, we won't use the whole piece of this. We will be cutting it, but I do want the edges to be glued down when we get ready to cut it. So let's use my cup my Mod Podge to hold that down. Let's just use that one. Okay. I'll just hold the edges down while it's gluing. And we'll do these drawer pieces. You can see I do have a little pile of that sawdust that we talked about. I saved the shavings from these pieces because I use it for filler, like around the edges. If I have pieces that need to be filled in this one side, I will have to, because that leg was crooked and I didn't take it off and straighten it back up. So I'll fill in there. I'll just take regular emery board, and to bevel the edge, I'm just going to angle it. Take off however much I need to take off, or whatever I feel like needs to come off, just to make those edges beveled, to give me the decorative look that I want for this bottom drawer. I always flip it over and do a little bit on the back too, just to give it like a sharp crease and make it not so thick and bulky on the back side. That way when I put it on, it goes on nice and flush. And then we'll do the same thing here. I think one of these would look really good in one of the houses if you kind of refurbish it and turn it into like his and her sinks in a bathroom. That would look really good. Alright, this top drawer, I'm going to do the same thing a little bit. The bottom drawers, I did two. I cut two pieces of mat board and glued them together. So the bottom drawers are double thickness. The top drawer, I'm doing a single thickness. The bottom drawer on this one, I'm doing double thickness. These I only did single. This one doesn't have drawers yet because I don't know what I'm doing with it. This one only has single thickness on both. This one, the bottom drawer, is going to be double. So however big I make the bottom drawer, I just doubled it. I cut two, glued them together. The top drawer, it's only going to be one thickness. Okay, and then that one will go there. I didn't put my glue upside down, so it's not wanting to come to the edge. Over, dab it all around the edges, just to give it that bevel. Okay, back. It really don't take a lot of glue to hold this because it's paper to paper, holds pretty quick. All right, now I'm going to take a little bit of this and put in my crease here because we do have that gap, and I'm just going to match it over here. So if I have any bulk on one side, I'm going to match it to the other just because, you know, because I can. And because I want them to look similar. If I put this in the old rugged house, I'm okay with it looking a little bit beat up and rough. It's going to be, it's going to look like it's an old piece of furniture, and an old piece of furniture is not going to be perfect by any means. By any stretch of the imagination would an old piece of furniture like this be perfect. It's going to have imperfections to it. And that's what we have so far. I don't know if you can tell that the bottom drawer is a little bit bigger. It sticks out farther than the top drawer. And that's what I wanted. And I'm going to hold on to these shavings because I may use them for something else later. All right. Now, this is going to be the back. For the back, I'm going to lay the dresser down onto the thing I'm using for the back. If it's your cereal box, if it's your Coca-Cola box, if it's poster board folded in half, whatever it is that you're using for your backer, just if it's thin, double it, just fold it up and glue it, and it will be just fine. I just didn't use mat board. I thought that was too thick. If you want to use mat board, by all means use mat board. Your house, your rules. It is still kind of early for me, so I'm still drinking coffee, and I probably will drink coffee for a while today. I woke up with a headache and it has not gone away, and I have lost my pencil, and I just had it. I see it. Let me grab my pencil. Okay. This is a very professional video. Okay. So, the bottom of the dresser, I'm putting flush against the bottom of the backer. Okay. And I'm going to draw up on both sides. And then how tall do I think I want this to be? Now, those both are pretty similar in height. The round one is a little bit taller than the other one. You can see that's a little bit taller. Looks like I've got them. That one's about 6 inches. This one is about 5 3/4. So if we go on that, let's just go with 6 inches from the bottom. We'll just mark there. Okay, and because I don't know if this is straight, I'm not going to use my straight edge on the end of this to make my straight line, because it's still going to be crooked if the line I'm using to put this on is crooked. My line's going to be crooked. So I'm going to use the edge of my silicone mat to put the edge of my straight edge on it. Then I'm just going to slide my piece of what the heck is this? This Waterloo cover, this little thin cardboard. I'm going to put that under the straight edge, and I'm using the end of the mat, the silicone mat, to give me my straight, so I can go straight across, because we know I cannot draw a straight line, cannot cut a straight line. Okay, there's that. And same thing here. I don't know if this box is straight or not. It's something that I salvaged before I put stuff in the recycle bin from the Waterloo box. So we're just going to draw a straight line here. Make sure it went all the way through. Okay. And we'll do something here. Use the silicone mat. Line it up. Now, for all intents and purposes, this should be straight. Should be straight. Should be straight. But we have to remember, I had a hand in doing it, and I cannot cut a straight line. And look what I did. Look what I did. I glued those drawers onto the wrong side. So this is how easy it is to, while the glue is drying still, pop those suckers right back off. Flip it around to the side you actually want it to be on. And glue them on yet again. That should be like in a bloopers reel, because, you know. But I guess this is the way things happen when we're making things and when we're crafting in real life. Nothing ever goes the way it's supposed to, at least not at my house. Like right now, I'm doing this. I'm in my living room. I've got cats over here. I've got my family starting to wake up. You're going to start hearing people in my house. And that's okay, because we live here. This is our house. This is where we live. Things are going to happen. People are going to wake up. They're going to come through, and they're going to be in their own house. So that's fine. We're not YouTubers. We're not anything like that. I was just asked multiple times to show people how I did this, and I was like, okay. Alright, so that is better. And this ugly part where I messed up, it won't matter because it's going to be on the back and we're not going to see it. Okay, so that part is going to be glued down there. But before I glue that down, we're going to figure out how we want the back of it to look, because we still have to do a decorative top to it, unless you just want it square. If you just want it squared off, then you are ready to rock and roll. Just glue that on there, put your mirror on there, you're good to go. But if you want a decorative edge to it, the way I did that, where did I put all my little pieces? I just used scrap paper, and I just made my cuts on scrap paper. So like for this one, it's the round one, and this is for the mirror. I don't know what I did with the paper that I used for this one, but I'm going to cut one similar to that because I liked that shape. So what I did, figure out how wide it's going to be, roughly. Okay, and then fold your scrap paper in half. Okay, so that's folded in half. So Then I just drew the shape that I wanted onto this half of the scrap paper with your fold in the middle. I leave a little bit of it going down. I don't want it to be exact from here. I leave a little bit going down because I want it to be drawn on to go behind the dresser. So then I'll just take my scissors and I'll cut out this shape. I think that was the laptop. Yeah, the laptop that's doing an update. Okay. So this is the shape that I get when I do that. Okay. So now what I want to do is transfer this onto here. Okay. So I'm just going to, well, I made it just maybe a little bit too wide, but let me trace it out a little bit smaller. I think I went a little too big. Let's see. Let's bring that edge in here. Okay, so we'll just redraw that a little bit and recut this shape somewhat. Okay, now let's see if that fits on my board, and that is much better. Okay, so I'll transfer this shape . And then I'll just use my scissors and I'll cut the same shape over here. Probably would have been easier with my utility knife, but the scissors aren't bad. They're kind of small. Okay. Alright, and then that's what we have right there. Okay. Now, for the mirror, you're going to want to figure out how do you want that mirror shaped, because now we need to take one of these and decide how's that mirror going to be shaped. This one, I just cut it similar but without the point. We just rounded that. This one, we cut it exactly like the same rounded shape, just a little bit smaller. So for this one, let's do something kind of like that, I guess. We know this is about the right width. So let's go a little bit shorter. And let's just make it round. curve the edge. Let's see how that looks. Just a simple, like a rounded, cornered rectangle. And then if we put that on here, that's going to look pretty good. It's a little wide because, you know, because it is. So let's cut it about here and see what happens. We're not going to mess it up. It's just scrap paper we're working on right now. So we can do whatever we want. And then put this on there. Is that going to be fine? I think that's going to be fine. So now take your mirror sheet. Lay it down with the white part facing up. I don't know if that's going to be big enough. That one's not going to be big enough. Is this one going to be big enough? That one's... no, no matter how I turn this, it's not going to be big enough to give me. Sometimes I can use these and get more than one project out of them, but for this dresser, I can't. I can use it for something else, so maybe a bathroom mirror. Maybe a mirror for the hallway. Alright, so we'll just lay that down on the white paper backing and trace out what we drew on this paper backing. Alright, now it's easy to cut that out now because it's traced onto the back. This cuts really easy. Okay. And we're able to take the blue off, and we've got our mirror. In a minute, we'll take off the sticky and we'll have the adhesive part. What we'll do first is we will glue the table to the backer. So just give a little helping of glue to the backboard. We're going to press that on there. Okay. We haven't painted anything yet. I'm not painting mine. This one I'm not going to paint today. This one I haven't painted yet either. Because I don't know if I'm going to paint these to look like wood. If I'm going to paint them a color. Or if I'm going to do like this cabinet for the dining room of the farmhouse and give it like this crackle finish. That's really easy to do with glue and acrylic paint. So I might age it and give it that crackle look on here with a couple of different colors. Maybe some brown and blue with that crackle finish with white over it. I think that would look good, especially if it's going in the old rugged house that I'm making. That might look good in there. All right, now let's do... this, and we're going to just position the sticky. Now you can put some glue down if you don't trust this to stick by itself. You can put some glue down and it'll help hold it. I don't think it needs it because it holds just fine, just the sticky stuff. It's pretty sticky. but you can always put just some glue down and then just stick it right on top of there. I haven't found that I've needed it at all. Yeah, okay, and that's what we have there. So our little table is looking more and more like a little dresser. For those drawer pulls that I use there, let me clean up some of my mess, because I'll tell you, I can get a little messy when I'm crafting. I get lost in it. Okay, let me pick that up. Okay, I told you I use these. In the last video, I was telling you what you needed to do some of this stuff with. It's these button snaps, or snap buttons, button snaps. I don't know what they're called. You put them on clothes to snap the backs of a dress or something closed. Okay, so we've got the post, and then there's the two parts that make the snap. There's the outer part. Oh shoot, I just dropped one. This part that points out, and then the part that I just dropped in the floor that I'm not going to get is this part that is indented, that this snap closure goes into. This is the part we're going to use, the indented part. All right, that's what we're going to use to make this half moon drawer pull. Okay, real simple to do. I use this little handy dandy machine to do it. I just put that bar across so it's straight across in the middle, and that little divot in there is perfect for putting the little snap in the middle of the little alligator mouth. Close it down a little bit just to grip it so you don't drop it in your floor. I've got a little coffee mug that I keep handy when I'm crafting to put the glue and stuff upside down. Empty it out, take this, put it in here, snap it inside of a cup or an empty plastic bowl, something that'll catch it so it doesn't fly everywhere. Don't ask me how I know that. There's little pieces of these things in my living room floor I haven't found yet. See, it goes flying. There. Now, we have two of them, and turned upside down, they make a perfect little half moon drawer pull. Glue it on there, paint it black, which is what I did. I painted my lamp black, and it works out just fine. Before you get to the let's paint it part, you're going to want to do something else though, because this is paper. And most often we use acrylic paint in crafting. You're not going to want to paint this with acrylic paint until you seal it. And what you're going to want to do to seal it is get one of these little dollar store or Hobby Lobby or Walmart, wherever, just plain old cheapo brush. Doesn't have to be anything special. Get your Mod Podge. I use the glossy Mod Podge, and just coat the whole thing in Mod Podge. Just seal it all up. I put 2 coats on this before I did any painting to it. I did a whole coat, let that dry, did a whole nother coat. This Mod Podge will seal this paper. It'll make it sturdy. It'll keep your paint from soaking in, and it'll help you give it more of a wood look to it when you paint it versus a paper look. It won't look so much like paper. It'll look more like a piece of wood, especially if you're going to do like wood graining or something like that on it. It'll look better because it's paper. it's going to soak up that acrylic paint. Acrylic paint is a lot of water, so it's going to soak it up. And then it's going to have that matte look to it, and it just needs to be sealed first. So I use this Mod Podge. Use what's in the lid first, because there's always that little bit in the lid. Do the backboard. If you want to do the backboard before you put the mirror on, by all means, be my guest, do that. It's your piece of furniture. If you want to paint the backboard before you put the mirror on, by all means, it's your piece of furniture. These little holes down here, if you're going to use those to make it look like that's another dresser drawer, then just put you a handle on them. If you don't want to see them, fill them with some of that wood paper that we use, that sawdust paper, or a little bit of wood filler, and then sand them off smooth, which is what I did on this one. I just filled them in. I didn't want to see them, so I filled them in. I don't know what I'm going to do with these on here yet. I might use them as drawers. I don't have a dresser that I'm going on for reference for this one. That one, I was going on memory from my Mama Viney's dresser that she always had. So I was just going on memory. She's been gone since '93. So I was just going on memory. She always had a little bit of a basket there that had her little hair rollers and hair net and stuff in it, and always had a can of Aqua Net on there. She'd roll her hair for church. Had her Aqua Net. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and seal the top. It's a different type of material than the sides and the front, but it's balsa wood, or basswood. It's not balsa, it's basswood. But I'm going to go ahead and seal that. So everything has the same kind of consistency to it. And we'll go around the mirror on the backboard. On the mirror, once I got everything finished on this one and I let it all dry, I took a bit of embroidery floss. I think it was 3 strands of embroidery floss, and just put out a little bit of glue on a paper plate. Took my embroidery floss, put it in the glue, and just pulled it through like that, and got the embroidery floss glued up. And then I just went around the mirror and mimicked the shape of that mirror onto this board, so it would give it kind of a frame around it, so it wasn't just a flat piece of mirror on a flat board. It gave it like a textured frame around the mirror. And then I went over that with like a matching color of that burnt umber paint to match it, so you wouldn't really see it. It blended in, but it gave it that it has a frame on it. Now whatever you do to the front of a piece of this matte stuff, you need to do to the back. So if you're putting the Mod Podge on the front, you need to put some Mod Podge on the back, because it'll keep it from warping so bad. That's true if you're doing this or if you're doing something else. If you are painting a piece of foam board, if you're doing anything with matte board, foam board, this chipboard, cereal box, poster board, whatever, if you do it to the front, you got to do something to the back, because it'll warp. If you paint one side, you need to paint the back side, or put some Mod Podge or something on the back side. It will warp if you don't. But if you do both sides, it won't warp. Or it shouldn't warp. I won't say it won't, because I can't guarantee it. Okay. So that's what we have. And we are Done. It's all done except for the painting and your handles. We have Mod Podged it. We have made it. We've survived it. And that's how you go from taking a Dollar Tree table and turning it into a dresser. You just flip it upside down and you just do it.